There we go. Good evening and welcome to the South County Fire Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for August 19, 2025. I'll call us to order and ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, board members, you have in front of you the draft agenda for possible approval. Is there anything else for the agenda? If not, I'll move adoption of the agenda as presented.
Our second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That moves us forward then in the agenda to item number 4, which is the consent agenda, which includes the August 19, 2025 claims vouchers totaling $1,225,689.88. I will move adoption of the consent agenda, including those claims vouchers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Teoflack. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda, including the claims vouchers. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That moves us forward to item number 5 in the agenda, and that is approval of the meeting minutes. Tonight, we have the August 6, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the August 12, 2025 work session minutes. I will move the adoption of those two sets of minutes. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wittes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Yes, Commissioner Rowland.
I do remember when the mayor of Mill Creek gave his comments, he asked that they be included in the meeting minutes. Was that something that was just missed? I did not see them in there.
I'm sorry?
I think that would be August 6th.
The 6th one on, did you say the 12th one?
No, I see the 12th. I see the 12th. Oh, I'm just saying the comments that I'm referring to should have been August 6th, and I don't see his comments reflected in here. So I just wanted to note that.
Would you like to?
Do you want to pull it to 12?
Pull it and then, yeah, I see them both in mine, so.
Yeah, I can see both weeks.
You do?
Yes. It says under, in Granicus, under number 5, it has the August 6th, but if you click on that in the attachments, you'll see 6 and 12. So both of them are included in there.
Sorry, could you repeat again what your comment is? There's comments missing and.
Yes, the mayor of Mill Creek asked that his comments be reflected in the minutes.
So why don't we, without objection, hold off on those, have them on the next regular meeting? Ms. Blankenship can rework them and bring them back.
Thank you.
Without objection? Okay, so that leaves us just with the August 6, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Any other discussion then on,
I think it's
That's the August 6th.
well,
I'm sorry, it was the August 6th?
Yes.
Okay, so that drops off the August 6th. It leaves us with the August 12, 2025 work session meeting minutes, still for approval without objection. Is there any discussion then on the August 12, 2025 work session meeting minutes? Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to add some, but do it later. Can we amend them at the next meeting with an augment of my comments? Just amend something previously adopted. We can pass them tonight.
Oh, okay.
I just don't have it in front of me right now in text form to amend it on the spot.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move forward with the vote, and this is as to the August 12, 2025 work session meeting minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next up is public comment. Item number 6. We'll start first in the meeting room, then we'll go to our Zoom online platform. Is there any request for public comment here in the meeting room? Yes, please come forward to the chair with the microphone. And please state your name and you have 3
Is the
minutes.
microphone on?
Oh yeah, be sure to press the button for the microphone to be on.
there you go, fancy.
Perfect. Thank you. My name is Stephanie Vignal, and I am the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Mill Creek. Thanks for having us this evening. I wasn't going to get up here and say anything. I have myself, Councilmember Steckler and Councilmember Paddock here this evening representing the City of Mill Creek. But I wanted to get up here and just remind you that the most important thing that you have is your trust and your integrity. And we put the RFA on the ballot for a vote. You promised us and the residents of Mill Creek and made a commitment to them that you would maintain the 5-person staffing and service levels at Station 76. Now, I don't have to tell you that we strongly feel this is a breach of trust, the way that you have made this decision to move the medics and to change around the staffing. We strongly ask you to return to the staffing that you promised and that you put on the ballot and that our voters actually voted for, and honor that leadership, integrity, trust, respect, and excellence that you have behind you. I don't have to tell you that once trust is broken, it's really hard to get it back. And right now, I know I personally feel like the trust has been broken, and I know that my residents feel like the trust has been broken. And if you've been getting even half the comments that I've been getting from residents, that you know that's the case. So once again, we have sent you a letter, and we do ask that you return our staffing levels to what they were. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Any other requests for public comment in the room? Then we'll go to the Zoom platform. Any other requests for public comment in the room? If not, let me turn it over to Ms. Blankenship. And do we have any requests for public comment on the Zoom platform? Ms. Blankenship.
We do not.
Very good. As I usually do, I come back to the room. Any requests, last request for public comment in the room? Seeing no requests for public comment, thank you. We will move forward then in the agenda to item number 7, which is the Fire Chief's Report. Good evening, Chief Eastman.
Committee Chair Kenny and the board liaisons and guests and staff. I have very little tonight for Chief's Report. I'm going to turn it over to Christy, and we had a Community Lifesaver Award today, and I'm going to let Christy give you the overview on that.
Good evening, Commissioners. We had a great opportunity today to recognize a local hero, and that would be Mount Lake Terrace Police Officer Jeremy Bowler. Officer Bowler responded to an I-5 overpass last month where a teen was on a very narrow ledge and wanting to jump onto the interstate below. Officer Bowler and another officer were trying to de-escalate the situation when he saw a very brief opportunity when the teenager was distracted, and he jumped into action, grabbed the teenager at the risk of himself, and pulled the teen back over the rail to safety. Firefighters were able to later transport the teen to the hospital. So that was sort of our role in things. And one of those firefighters that helped with that call actually recommended that we recognize Officer Bowler, which we did today with a Community Lifesaver coin. And I just wanted to read a line from what the firefighter submitted. I won't embarrass him any further by naming him tonight, but this is what he said about the actions from Officer Bowler. He said, "I believe that this officer should be acknowledged for his heroic actions, not only to show respect for the professionalism and humanity he showed, but as a reminder to us all serving the communities within the RFA that one day we may too have an opportunity to do the same." And it just reminds all of us that first responders sign up for this gig knowing that they may need to put their life on the line for someone else. And that's exactly what he did. So we thank him for his service, and we were proud to congratulate him today.
I have nothing more for the Chief's Report tonight.
Any questions from the board members for the chief on the chief's report? Any questions? Not seeing any. Thank you, Chief Eastman. All right, that moves us forward in the agenda to item number 8, which is the union report. And do we have President Moore with us online? or
Pat Moore
please
is not able to
not
attend.
attend? Do we have anybody from the union online to talk in the union report?
I don't believe there's anybody else being sent.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, then we will skip over the union report, item number 8, move on to item number 9, which is unfinished business. And we start with the City of Mill Creek continued deployment discussion with Chief Eastman. And commissioners, you will have an opportunity to talk about Mill Creek later in the meeting. Chief Eastman.
So I don't have a lot to talk about on the topic. I know we're going to have a conversation later on in the meeting. We're waiting for data, and as you know, time doesn't always go as fast as we want it to. So we anticipate getting some data at the end of the month. And the team will continue to review the data and report back as appropriate to the board. So that's all I have for tonight.
Sorry, Commissioner Shan. Go ahead. Yeah, turn that on.
Yeah, in your hangout there, you have the whole program in there. Can you just roughly go through that? Because part of the package in there, we have your PDF in there.
So we added to the package, Chief Maxwell's, that what he presented to the to the board. I think it was when I was on vacation, and we put
Right.
that in for the board to review if they choose. I wasn't going to actually go through it tonight, but if you want to go through the slides, we can.
Yeah.
I'm probably not necessarily the best. I think I got Chief Isotelo and Chief Anderson, who are more intimately involved with some of that. But yeah, we can do that. I don't have it to be able to put up in front of me, but
Can you?
well, so I didn't realize Chief Maxwell is online. So if Chief Maxwell has good comms, then Chief Maxwell can give you the brief, and then staff will add in if that's okay. Sean, are
Yeah.
you able to unmute and talk?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Can you see the slides?
I can. Commissioner Chan, was there a specific section you wanted to talk about?
No, I think, yeah, I do have some questions on some of the sections, but I think we have some guests in here. I think they probably like to refresh their memory. They might.
Okay. Well, we'll start on this slide here. One of the key points of this slide is that every fire engine has certified emergency medical technicians. So when the engine arrives at your house, there are 3 trained firefighters trained and certified by the State Department of Health to provide emergency medical care in those first 5 to 10 minutes before the paramedics arrive. The laws in Washington are changing, and they're doing what's called expanding the scope. And so a lot of those key interventions, such as reversing an opiate overdose, giving epinephrine for anaphylaxis for a severe allergic reaction, albuterol for asthma attacks, or nitroglycerin and aspirin for cardiac issues like a heart attack. So they can do even more things that are stretching them closer to the advanced care of where you start to get into what paramedics do.
Yeah, can I get back to the screen in there? I just want to, from what I understanding is that actually the engine in here can do more than the ambulance, right? Because you have the jar, whatever, safer jar, we have all the other equipment in there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
call it an all hazards response. So
Right,
the captain and their firefighters are, of course, they're trained in fire and rescue, but they're also have operational level advanced rescue training, advanced hazmat training, as well as the basic life support.
right, especially the traffic situation, right? You have some people got stuck and all that stuff, so the engine is more than for saving life and everything else. Is much more equipment in there. But the only thing that they cannot, I think, Commissioner Fernhoff said that, well, we cannot throw them, transport them. That's the only thing that's missing. But other than that, actually, I'm just thinking you equate that is a much more than just ambulance can do. And then, yeah, I think that's what I want to emphasize. Is that correct, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
they can do a lot. They can do whatever needs to be taken care of in those first 5 to 10 minutes.
Right, so we don't have to think about that's a fire engine only. Actually, it is, there's a medical help too in that situations.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We- Thanks, Christy. We talked a little bit about how care arrives when the firefighters arrived, and that's why a fire engine is dispatched, because usually there are more fire engines across any system, not just our system, but any fire system, and that's why the fire engine usually arrives first. The other important thing is the crews are out training all day, going on calls, sometimes doing different community events or outreach events. So the station is a very static location, whereas the engine is dynamically all over the community. And the computers in the dispatch know where the engines are, and it's called automatic vehicle locating. So what actually happens is the closest unit is dispatched to the emergency. So sometimes we have to think a little bit bigger than just firefighters always in their station. Firefighters are actually really active in their community and actively training, and the computer picks up the closest unit, and that's the priority of which unit gets dispatched to your emergency. So you get the closest unit coming to your emergency. Commissioner Chan, there's your slide.
yeah.
So we can go into
Yeah,
the next one. Oh, go ahead.
I just say, when I first started more than 20 years ago, actually, all the station, they have to fax the things, call the station and get out from the station. But now I was in Snow 911. We have the big system is so the station, the way that we approach station now is a little bit different from before, right? I know that I got 20 years ago, it looked like not that long ago, but they have to, and then they have get the faxing, they get the map and make a copy on the map, and there's no navigations. It's crazy, but it just, the equipment and everything, technology we have now, it's just helping a lot on the vehicle. And then right now, every time, because we're getting so many people now, every time I drive out, I gotta see one of our units going out there, turn around. I think the concept, just the station alone is change, it has to be changed. Yeah.
Commissioner Lawrence has a question.
Chief Maxwell, you may not be able to answer this without doing a little research, but we know that in a general sense, we have a lot of time wasted having our crews waiting to discharge their patients to the hospital. Do you have any percentage of of all the man hours, how much time is wasted sitting around at the hospitals for our crew? You can, if it takes some weeks to find that information, exact figure, that's fine.
Yeah, we don't, well, I haven't tracked that in a cumulative manner, but I can say, that's been an evolution that's changed here, where we can have crews wait an hour. I know we've had crews wait 7 or 8 hours. And so that transport unit can be stuck at hospitals for hours and hours. And that all depends on the volume at the hospital. Cold and flu season can make those numbers climb as well, but I do not have those specific numbers for you tonight.
So if the hospitals, and it's a difficult issue, I know a little bit about that, and it's that they lack of beds and the whole kit and caboodle with to solve that problem. If they did solve that problem, we'd have a lot better response, correct? There'd be a lot
Well,
more crews available to handle whatever's going on.
right, for sure. If it was, like you said, it's a very complex problem, but you're correct that if our units are spending less time at the hospital, their reliability or their availability is going to increase in the community.
Well, if and when you're working on data, the staff's working on data, if we could come up with something like that, a figure of, well, this is what it's costing our taxpayers to have our vehicles and crews standing by doing nothing. And the patient also is not getting the true hospital care they need, even as good as our guys are. They're not, they're not emergency room doctors. So, yeah, that might be helpful. Just not just to know it, but for maybe getting the word out. Yeah, thanks, Chief.
Yep, thanks for the input. We'll look into it.
Go ahead, Chief Maxwell, with your next slide.
Okay. So this slide represents that, we provide a system of care. No one station protects any one community. Go ahead, Christy. The city of Mill Creek, since that's germane to the conversations we're having right now, it has Station 76 on the extreme west side of the city. And so the station is also protected by 4 other stations that surround the city. With our redeployment, you can see the numbers in front of you there. Before, I'm calling it the Mill Creek Quadrant, we had 5 paramedics plus an MSO, and MSO is and with the change in deployment, now in the Mill Creek Quadrant, we have 7 paramedics with a total of 8, including the MSO, and we have 4 ambulances day and night. Go ahead. One of the display you're seeing, the map you're seeing on the screen is showing how you can see 76 on the far west side of the city of Mill Creek. And so as we were remodeling our deployment, we were looking at how can we penetrate ALS assets or paramedic assets into the other corner of the cities faster. And so we've moved some of the paramedics around, which are displayed by the blue stars of life, and you can see there.
Can we go back to
Go
that
ahead, Christy.
picture? I think I want to emphasize, before we have, I can understand Mill Creek has been served by another fire department, which is 76, 77, 72nd, and 77. So because 76 is the closest to the city, so therefore makes sense, a lot of them, they have to be, have a really more heavier staff in there because they're so far away, 72 and 77. But versus now, because we are surrounded by our station, so I think that is that's the reason that the staff thinking about that, the new deployment plan. And also I think probably not now, but last time we do a statistic, you're basically saying that the other station go into Mill Creek more than 76 itself, right? 26, I think, the usage. I wasn't.
Yeah, you'll see those coming up next,
Yeah.
Commissioner Chan.
Oh, they were coming up on the number. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those are coming up next.
Chief Maxwell, go ahead and move to your next slide.
Okay, go ahead, Christy, if you could. This is showing how calls are medic calls are high security calls when someone stops breathing or their heart stops, are distributed across RFA, and then we're going to center down on the Mill Creek City again. And as you can see, engine 76, these are the first, what is the first unit to arrive on scene? So over this period of 2024 was the window of these statistics. Engine 76 arrived first on scene 27 times. other units arrived on scene first 4 times, and actually Medic 76 was the last one or the least amount to arrive first on scene on our highest acuity calls in the city of Mill Creek. Go ahead, Christy. This is the first 6 months of 2025, and you can see engine 76 responds, well, they're more likely to respond inside the city of Mill Creek. So they're responding outside the city about 38.52% of the time. Medic 76 responds outside of the city 68.98% of the time. So so close to 70% of the calls, Medic 76 is leaving the city for the majority of their work. Go ahead. This is also the first 6 months data, and you can see we have data from 2023, 2024, 2025. These are dispatches. So these are dispatches, actual dispatches generated in Mill Creek. And so engine 76 responds, 41.47% of the time. Interestingly enough, the other units serve the city of Mill Creek more than engine 76 or medic 76. And a little over 15% of the calls are the ones that medic 76 are actually generated inside the city of Mill Creek. They respond to. So as anything, it's a system approach is the most powerful approach, 15 stations. And we call some of this is the way to response because fires can require dozens and dozens of firefighters, and that's a really good way to show a system approach. Another thing, and I know we've spoke about before, but I do think it's relevant. When we were presenting to the city of Mill Creek a few weeks ago, um, they not only had one, but two, but three, but I believe they had 4 simultaneous calls going on in the city of Mill Creek. And with just one station, they would have only been able to handle one call. So that was critically showing this is a system of care, and it takes a system to protect everything, including the city of Mill Creek. The other things we have that are a specialty that's actually really nice is just to the north of the city is our hazmat team and hazmat truck. Up at Station 21 from the hill there above the city, we have our technical rescue truck and team. We now have community resource paramedics throughout the city. That was identified as a need even before we came in. Our community paramedics were working with the elderly and the most needy inside the city to help them with a lot of times they continue to call 911 because their needs aren't getting met. And when we do that, it increases the availability of your engines, your ladders, and paramedic units. We also have a medical services officer, which is our EMS supervisor, and we now carry blood, and that's also at Station 21. Only that's for life saving for severe hemorrhaging or bleeding, and that blood, the only blood in the whole county, is actually at Station 21 at the top of the hill beside Mill Creek. There, go ahead. You can go to the next one, Christy. It's a system of protection. We're going to look at this for 120 days to get what we believe is a large enough sample size, and we will look at that data. And we are not locked into anything. If I talked about this before. You can have simulated data, retrospective data, and you can push that out and try to do predictive modeling, but the best data is prospective data. So you're starting from the date of your test or your study and you're moving forward. That's the most reliable data. And you can't get that obviously until you start the period. So we're going to look at 120 days, and if we need to adjust anything, we stand ready to change anything. I think that's the last slide.
Thank you, Chief Maxwell. Chief
Commissioner
Maxwell,
Chan, did that? Oh, sorry. Commissioner Chan, did that meet your need? Did you have any specific questions?
No, I think that's specific questions and also there are comments in here. I think last time when we discussed that, if we see something's wrong or whatever, we don't wait in the 120 days to change it, right? We can do immediate action to make a change in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks you for reminding me. Yeah, if we see a clear predominant pattern, developing that shows the need for a change early, yes, we will change early.
And then I think, in the governmental committee, we talk about that. To me, a lot of time perceptions are everything, right? So I think we need to reconsider the perception part of it. And then if we really have anything we can, do something about it, I think we should take a look at that and not just closing down ourselves and that be, all the commissioners should really think about it. Perception is really important. Thank you.
Commissioner Fernhoff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, for your presentation and review of the material. And thank you, Commissioner Chan, for pointing out some of the little nuances. And thank you, Mill Creek, for being here. Yes?
Is all of that raw data available? I see snippets and whatnot. I spend a lot of time on data and they can tell 100 stories, 500 different people. So is that raw data available?
I'll turn to Chief for that.
Yeah, the data we use is from the dispatch. So yeah, we have the raw data.
That's shared.
Yes.
So I wanted to just kind of give you my own personal reflection on how things have changed from the old days. When I was entering into EMS, was in a small pueblo just east of Riverside. It was called Los Angeles. You might have heard of it. And back then we, as brand new EMTs, were taught a scope of practice called scoop and run. And that essentially meant that you had to have an ambulance, that if somebody was bad off, you threw them in the back and you gave them a bumpy ride to the hospital and you hoped they survived. Today, we take a completely different approach. In other words, what you've seen here is a lot of mechanism in a system. It's not a unique piece of equipment that now has to reside in one spot to get to from point A to point B. We carry the same life-saving equipment on every apparatus, every SUV that we have within the fire system. And that is a range of EMTs, paramedics, medical service officers. If you get at least one of these units at your doorstep, it begins the clock on the life-saving process. We prefer to sit on scene now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're working a full arrest, it could be up to 45 minutes until stabilization is reached. So the need for that transport unit within the first 5 or 8 minutes is not as important today as it was when I entered into the emergency medical services back in the early 80s, 83 to date myself, and Ed is older than I am, so he goes back even further. The point I'm trying to make is we're giving you a lot of data, but we're also saying that there is a system that is encompassing your community. There are people in that fire station. The station is not closed. The station is open. In fact, you have the immediate response for anything that happens within X amount of miles within the limits of that station, to include your Mill Creek Town Center and that immediate vicinity. Because I kind of look at, maybe you're looking at this from a hub and spoke from 76 outward versus the ring of support that you have. So I just wanted to make that point that things have changed over the years. As long as a unit with that life-saving drug, that life-saving defibrillator, that life-saving high-performance CPR arrives on scene, your chances of survival, as we know in this particular area with our department, is double of the national standard. Is that correct? So, but at the same time, Mayor Pro Tem, I hear you, and I want to have this discussion with my fellow board members about how we make your community feel like you have the resources that you need. And clearly at the moment, you think that you don't. So I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thank you.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, we have two issues. The service we provide, which is demonstrably much better than you had before. The questions you raise about the concerns about being served, they don't, I'd want to say unfounded, but you have a perception of what you need. And you've heard here from people that know what they're talking about as to why things are better here. But there is this other question, which is maybe causing all the confusion, with me, is you're saying we promised something. So if you could get the board and the staff, the data, the information of what we promised you, then that would help a lot, because then we could unravel that a little bit, or try to figure out what we said, what we promised. It's my understanding that we didn't publish your pro statement, you guys did. And so the city published it. You may have misinterpreted, I don't know. So I don't know at this time, but that would be helpful to pursue that avenue, because I think that you probably agree that we're providing better service than you had before, and better than what we're doing, what we had. By switching that person doesn't make a difference on the service, it actually improves it. That's our professional opinion, the staff's opinion, and the people that are experts on their own are on the staff. But what did we promise? I'd sure like to know that. So if you can come up with this, where these promises were made and what we promised, so that would help a lot to solve this problem.
Other discussion from board members? So Commissioner Wedis.
I just want to talk a little bit about the promise. I wasn't here when we annexed in, but I was a Mill Creek resident and voted for the annexation. I would promise to save lives and property and do the best we can doing that. We discussed a deployment for almost a year, and in our June all-day workshop, we went ahead and kind of finalized the look of it, if you want to call it that. And at that stage, the union president was asked if it was a good plan. Came back with saying it's a great first step, and let's see how it goes. Since that time, and I watched the last city council meeting in Mill Creek, it was obvious that the union president is kind of going opposing it, and behind the scenes doing that. I know I watched Councilmember Paddock talk about it a little bit, and he was referring to that we were in violation of NFPA 1710, which actually is not a station thing at all. It has nothing to do with it. It's about apparatus staffing. And if you look at the new deployment, we have 4 stations that way. So they're staffed just like 76 is. And so I understand maybe where some people say that it's not good because that's what you're hearing. What it looks like the Mill Creek's doing right now, the city council, is they're looking at, we have to have 5 people in a building. Well, we really don't care about a building. We want 12 people on the scene of a patient right by their side when they're having a medical emergency. That's what it takes to do CPR. And it's not being accomplished in the north end and the east end of Mill Creek. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking at changing that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Wedis. Other discussion from board members? Any other discussion? No? Any other discussion? Okay, well, thank you. You'll have an opportunity to potentially speak again.
I saw that there was a hand, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have, did Liaison Morris have a question? Oh. Yeah. President Moore, we're not taking questions, unfortunately. Other board discussion? Any other board discussion? Yes, Commissioner.
I'd like to hear what President Moore has to say on this issue. I mean, are we not open to hearing from our union president?
We can. We did have an opportunity on the agenda for him earlier, and he wasn't here, but if you would like to, we'll ask. President Moore, would you like to make a comment? Go ahead, President Moore.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I guess I'm a bit surprised I was denied that, given the fact we have accepted questions in the past. So I was kind of assuming we were proceeding that same way. I just wanted to clarify, Commissioner Wittes, and I already talked to Councilmember Paddock about the comments made in that, and it was a misquote, that he didn't fully understand exactly what I was talking about. But there was a misquote there, and him and I had already talked about that today, and I just wanted to clarify that with you, that that's not entirely accurate, as far as what was said and your interpretation of that. So I understand your guys' position. I think that I would just like to say, since I didn't get a chance to do the union report, I'm working today, and I was on an emergency medical call, so I was unable to be on here at that time. So I appreciate the latitude. But I just want to say that I hope that you guys are listening to the City of Mill Creek. I know there's a lot of data being presented, that's being shown here. The one on the presentation shows first arriving times. That's only one piece of the data. It shows the engine arriving 27 times, but what it fails to reference too is how many times the medic unit was with that engine on scene following them, because the way we're dispatched is an engine responds out first. And so I understand we have all this data. It's one piece of it. There's also a human element, and it's the side that the people that do the job day in and day out that work this current system can see the holes in the data that the data doesn't present or show to you. But it seems to be that there's just kind of an unwillingness to listen to us. And I've heard comments as of last week that a bunch of us are uninformed and have harebrained ideas. And that's not necessarily the case when I look at the people you talk about them being the best in the nation, but yet comments are made like that last week at the meeting. And it's a little disheartening. And it's real disheartening to the people that work here in this organization to hear that out of a commissioner's mouth. So I hope you strongly consider restoring their staffing levels. And I would appreciate it if the comments being made towards my membership and the public for asking questions is not continued. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, President Moore. Other yes, Commissioner Teoflo.
If I could ask President Moore a question, that's okay.
Go ahead.
So in your opinion, President Moore, do you think the previous staffing model was better for that area of our RFA?
I believe for the city of Mill Creek, it was, because we have ALS engines, and while we show that we have a bunch of medics around them, those fire engines are first out to BLS calls and all other hazards, leaving essentially a lot of the times those paramedics are not actually available to respond to an ALS response as it's indicated on that map, meaning it's coming from Martha Lake or Fire Station 11, where it used to come from Station 76, that medic unit did. And so I'm not saying that it's a bad where we went. Obviously, as Commissioner Wittes said, when I was asked in the middle of a meeting and I hadn't even seen the final presentation at the June workshop, I did support components of this. Now, the one I was vocal about, and I've said, was I wasn't supportive of decreasing the staffing at Station 76. I didn't think that was a good idea.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from the board members? If Commissioner Rowland.
Let me just check something first. Pardon me. So which agenda item are we specifically on right now?
We are on item
Just wanna
number
make sure.
9A.
So we're on, okay. I've said it before, I do believe that at least in the short term, we need to move the paramedics back to Station 76. We didn't engage with our partners appropriately. I think there may be information that we didn't take into consideration that those conversations could reveal. And I think given the intense community interest, unless there's evidence that making this change for a short period of time would be detrimental to the safety of you know, the public, I think it's the responsible thing to do as a partner to the cities, and as leaders for this organization. So I would move that we, before I make a motion, a question. I've asked the last two meetings for the staff to kind of evaluate that and provide information on what the impacts would be, but I haven't heard anything negative. Is there anything you guys want to input?
So if what I'm understanding you're asking Commissioner Rowland is if you're going to move the medic unit back down the hill, down to Station 76. Again, I support the work that's been done by staff with regards to providing the best services as we serve as a whole. I will say it means moving the medic unit down the hill, pulling it on the, and it means that for the 70% of the calls that that unit has been going on historically, they're going to continue to go further because they come outside and move outside the city. So the difference is we've done some other deployment, and so we've got medics on engines elsewhere. And so the reality is if the board chooses to alter deployment, there's a couple different options that are available to provide service in the city of Mill Creek. At the end, it moves the puzzle pieces a little bit, and it's not the most efficient way to provide service in me and my staff's opinion. And it will add a increase of certain amount of response time to where that unit goes. But again, the benefit of what we've done is by uncross-staffing, we've created a higher unit reliability across the whole RFA, right, for the engines. And we know the engines are equipped with, some of them are paramedics, some of them don't, but they have all the EMS skills to save lives. And as a result of deployment change, we have a higher engine reliability because they're not cross-staffed in the south like they used to, and they're not doing transports, which Commissioner Lawrence, to answer your question right now, countywide, the average turnaround time on a transport's about an hour, 10 minutes. That's not just the RFA, that's a countywide number. And that's at the 90% mark, to give you a ballpark. And so there's lots of ways we can move and do that. I will say that knowing the data that the staff has done, it just makes us a little bit less efficient. And from the system as a whole, a little bit less efficient. And again, Commissioner Lawrence, or Commissioner Rowland, there's a couple different ways we can do it. You can move the medic down the hill, the medic unit down the hill. You could move an A-car down the hill and put a paramedic on the engine. There's a couple different ways to do that. And there's pros and cons to both.
But in your opinion, you'd prefer to leave it the way it is right now?
I'm saying right now, the data supports the deployment change we made, right? So if you're only looking at that component, where we moved and how we resourced the RFA as a whole, based on what the data is telling us, I stand by that. I also know there's other things going on, right? There's a political environment with it. There's a perception thing that goes on. And there's a lot of other things that are outside the data that weigh into this conversation. And so if the board were to choose to make a move and put some resources back in the city of Mill Creek, we can make that happen. At the end, but I will also say I stand by the crews or by my staff and the decisions they made based on where we currently are today with our current staffing. So I know that's kind of all over the place, Commissioner Rowland, but I think if you move the medic unit down the hill, or you move an A-car down the hill and put a paramedic on the engine, there's a couple different ways to put the service back for a lot of the conversation that you've talked about and for a lot of the conversation, the comments that we received from both, not just the city of Mill Creek leadership, but the citizens.
So, and looking at the map, it looks like there's currently 3 paramedics stationed at, sorry, everybody's head's in the way, at Station 21, whereas before it was no paramedics at that station, correct? If I can.
That is correct.
I'm looking from a distance. This is more
that
of
is-
an eye
that
test
is
than
correct.
anything else. All right. So if we were to move those paramedics down, the two-person team to restore service, let's say temporarily, I'm not saying one way or the other. I do agree that the data is sound. I'm worried that it may be incomplete, given some of the things that I've heard from the city council, the mayor, about their future plans, and from the input from the people that live there. I know that trying to travel down that direction from Station 21 or the station right here during rush hour is very hard to do. I also know that people don't tend to get out of the way, so I am concerned about some of the residents down there, given the population density, that the response times, while not outside of what we consider acceptable, would be longer. I think there's no getting around that. So I would like to see, like I said, temporarily that be moved back. We engage with our partners in the city of Mill Creek. We can give them whatever data they need, answer any questions they have, get their input. And then after we have that, we can make a decision going forward if we move that paramedic unit back out to avoid it going out of the district for mutual aid, or what the right decision is. But I just want you to know this isn't something I do lightly to second guess staff or to try to reverse a plan that you guys worked so diligently on. I just think in this instance, it's the right thing to do. So what I'm going to do is I'd like to make a motion that the board directs the fire chief to move the paramedic unit, the two-person paramedic unit, back to Mill Creek for a period of 90 days, at which point we will revisit it and determine whether that will be permanent or whether it should be adjusted.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to make that change as indicated by Commissioner Rowland. Is there discussion on the motion? Commissioner Lawrence, then Commissioner Teofler.
Yeah, we have a executive meeting and coming up, and I'd like to postpone any vote until after that.
You'd have to make a motion to do that.
Well, okay. So I'd like to make a motion to postpone the vote until
Until
after the executive meeting.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wittes. It's been moved and seconded to postpone until after the executive session meeting. I'm trying to think, I believe that's debatable. Is there debate on that motion?
Okay,
Commissioner Chan.
yeah, I mean, either way is fine. So if I withdrew my second, then the first motion would not be,
No, it remains.
it still remain. Okay, I guess it's up to Commissioner Rowland to withdraw the, I understand we have a
So-
meeting later on.
My thought process on this is that the reason, the justification for this executive session is a result of us moving those paramedics out. I don't think that's going to change whether we move it back or not. Maybe it'll give us more impetus to do so. So I have no problem waiting until after we have a chance to speak with the lawyer on it. With no objection, I'll withdraw the motion, but we'll put it on the table and it will come back up.
Okay. So without objection, then the motion is withdrawn. And the motion to postpone is unnecessary. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the subject issue that we were on, this 9A? Deployment discussion. Any other questions, comments from the board members? Very good. All right, then we will move forward in the agenda then to our next item, which is 9B, which is staff presentation on the organizational roadmap implementation with our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Bothwell. Good evening, Mr. Bothwell.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. All right, so tonight I have the first of two staff budget presentations. The topic tonight is 2026 roadmap implementation. So tonight I will start with just a reminder of the positions that are added in 2026 in the roadmap. I will unveil the proposed funding package, talk about the impact that the implementation has on compliance with our guiding principles. And then I've got a slide on the property owner impact of implementation. And then I have an unrelated item, which is budget updates, and that's just routine budget updates that we provide during budget season. And then I've got some next steps for you to close. So 2026 is a busy year in the roadmap. We're slotted to hire 30 firefighters for a cost just under $5.9 million. We're also slotted for 5 administrative positions for a cost of $725,000. The forecasted total is a little over $6.5 million in 2026. So those are dollars that we have a special funding package for that's compliant with our guiding principles.
Can I do I want to ask you now, or you want to wait until the whole thing?
Commissioner Chan, question?
Can I ask the question right now, or you want to wait until the end?
You can ask it now if you want.
Commissioner
Okay.
Chan, go ahead.
So you're saying that, can you go back to the other one? So the fire administration, you're talking about staff only, right? The fire administrative.
Yeah, so they're listed there.
Okay, it's not the existing, it's a new one. You're adding 5 more in administration. So together with 35 fighter plus the 720, come up with the total increase is $6.5 million. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the proposed funding package would
Sorry,
add.
Commissioner Rowland. go
Oops,
ahead.
sorry.
Question?
Something I just saw in there, if you go back, I see a PIO added. We have a PIO or had a PIO. Is this for a second public information officer?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Just wanted to check.
Okay. So the proposed funding package would add 3.65 million to the fire levy, and that's funded with bank capacity that we currently have. That results in a 5.6% increase in the fire levy, and the remaining bank capacity for future years would be at $4.3 million. The funding package also adds $2.9 million to the benefit charge, and that's a 30% increase. So on this slide, we look at, or in this table, we look at the compliance with the funding guiding principles following implementation. And I've got a note there that strict compliance is not expected. So this is the first year of implementation. So we're not going to fall perfectly within our targets. And I'll describe sort of why. So on that first line there, the fire levy, the forecasted rate would be 84 cents per thousand. The guiding principle target is 80 cents. So that's an unfavorable variance of 4 cents. That's offset by the EMS levy, which is at 33 cents, or is forecasted to be at 33 cents. And the target is 40 cents. So that one's 7 cents under. And the reason that those are sort of out of alignment with the targets is that we have capacity in the fire levy we don't have in the EMS levy. So we'll put a little more on the fire levy until we get a renewal on the EMS levy, and then we can look at rebalancing those two. But you can see the combined total is $1.17, which is less than our guiding principle target of $1.20. For the benefit charge, the forecasted levy equivalent is 15 cents, and the target is 20 to 40 cents. So that one's also a favorable variance. This slide is the impact on the average property owner. And for this purpose, the average property owner is a residential property owner with a 2,000 square foot property with an assessed value of $800,000 in 2026. So the increase in the fire levy would cost a little over $37 per year. And then the benefit charge would add another $25. So the overall annual impact to the average property owner would be $62. And that, I just put this slide in just so I made sure I paused to see if there's any questions before I go on to the budget updates.
Questions from the board members? Commissioner Fernhoff, was that a no? Oh. Any questions for Mr. Bothwell? No? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so these are just 2 updates, and these are just the routine updates that we bring you as we move through budget season, just things that we want to bring to your attention because they may have changed something we presented previously. So I did present during the expenditure forecast, I told you about some items that we were adding into the status quo budget that was associated with the Edmonds annexation. There's a couple new ones that we're going to add in as well that weren't in that first cut at it. The first is Marine 16. That's one of the more expensive apparatus that we have now, now that Edmonds is part of the RFA. It has a replacement value. It's estimated at $1.8 million. There's some research that's ongoing with respect to what the estimated useful life left is on that asset and then what the estimated useful life would be. So that'll help to inform what we set aside every year in our replacement schedule for that. But for 2026, we're going to put a placeholder in there for $100,000, which would roughly be based on a replacement value of 1.8 and an 18-year useful life. The other item was facilities maintenance. We picked up some obligations for maintenance on 3 additional facilities with the Edmonds annexation. And so there's an additional $200,000 in support of that. So those are both going to be added. And then just in terms of next steps, the next time we meet, we'll have our second staff budget presentation. And we are preparing some discretionary requests to discuss with the board. There's going to be a lot fewer of those than you've seen in previous years, just because we've spent so much time on the roadmap, really charting a course for the organization going forward. And so we're going to have far less of that than you've seen in previous years, but we've got 3 or 4 items that we want to bring to your attention. And then on 9/16, so September 16th, we will be turning over the fire chief's preliminary budget to you all. And that officially kicks off your budget deliberations. So that's what's coming up. And that's what I had for you tonight.
Questions for Mr. Bothwell, Commissioner Chan, and then Commissioner Teal.
Yeah, there's a couple of stations we need to rebuild, or not rebuild, major one, right? I guess there's 76 is one of them. Because you need to add more building, more room in there and stuff like that. But is that included here, or is this part of the capital facility plan?
It's not part of the capital facilities plan that I think the document itself, that there is a project that they're talking about with respect to sleeping rooms, and that contract, that's going to come to you as a separate item. That would actually be charged to the building reserve. So it would be kind of a separate item from the operating general fund budget that we're talking about.
Okay.
But it'll come to you. The contract value is going to be high enough that that's going to come to you all.
Okay, so do you know approximately, okay, station 76,
Mhm.
also station Martha Lake, not Martha Lake, the other lake,
Lake Serene.
Lake Serene, yeah. And that buildings also need some
So
major constructions and.
I don't know, major construction, I think the biggest
Major-
project that I'm
major
aware of is at
maintenance.
76, but there are, I think, 3 or 4 what we consider major facility maintenance projects that are going to come to the board, and those will require a budget amendment. But those are one-time projects, and that money is sitting in the reserve for the building reserve currently.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'll get more information on those.
So that's enough, it doesn't affect our kind of operating budget.
Correct. We
Okay.
set aside $500,000 every year for those major facilities maintenance projects. But then we budget them because the contract values tend to be kind of high and they need to get to the board anyway.
Right,
So we'll put a budget amendment with those to get in front of you, but you'll hear about the projects then when they bring that forward. But we save for that. There's $500 in the status quo budget. There's $500,000 in there that we transfer over to the building fund for those projects every year.
no, I really appreciate it. I'm lucky we have reserve fund for the building and stuff like that, so it doesn't hurt our operating budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Teal.
For the $200,000, that's for the Edmonds maintenance of facilities. Is that what we're going to be adding to the building maintenance fund for every year, or is it like a one-time $200,000?
That's an every year add, and it wouldn't be to the major facilities maintenance fund. It would actually be it's for facilities operations. So they have a separate repairs and maintenance, kind of an ongoing budget for apparatus and then for facilities. And so that would be in the facilities side of that. So it's in the general fund.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, Commissioner? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Rowland.
Just one question. Marine 16, do we have an ILA with Edmonds Police to use that? Or I think I've heard in the past that they utilize it on occasion, but
I don't
remember.
believe we have an ILA anymore.
Okay.
But we've been talking prior to the pandemic that we were a platform for the dive team from Edmonds. And I know we were working with Chief Bennett before she retired about working that through. I know that if they had a dive event that they needed the boat operations we'd be able to deploy it and use it. I don't think we have a formal agreement for that, Commissioner Rowland, now. We used to. The boat's now ours. We maintain the boat. If you remember, we put new engines on it here not that long ago. We We had 2 rounds of updates to avionics. And so, but no formal ILA. And the ILA prior was we had boat operators and and the Edmonds PD had boat operators. And if they needed the boat, they took it. They don't have boat operators now. And so there's a lot of conversation about how to work together to make sure that Edmonds has divers and how that works. And operationally that's being worked on. And with the change of police chiefs, that just got stalled a little bit. And I'm sure Jason and the rest of the team will, when the new chief, because they have an intern chief now, when the new chief takes over, we'll have some conversation and figure out where that's supposed to go. But we don't have a formal agreement.
I was just, I guess, thinking that, I don't know if this has been done in the past, but I don't know how much they're using it, how much they've used it historically. But, if there's some middle ground, if we're going to be purchasing a new one, number one, to collaborate with them on maybe financing it. And number two, if they need it for their use as well, obviously they may have a few asks in the build of the boat itself that they would be willing to cover or something like that. But I would want to at least explore that avenue, given the price tag on it and the amount that we actually use it. If there's a way to share that cost with Edmonds, that would be an amazing opportunity, I think, for both of us to not have to maintain separate vehicles or deal with, trying to tally it up at the end of the year or anything like that.
I can tell right now they don't use it. They don't, let's just say right now, they don't use it enough to expend the capital in the future. And we'll make sure we have corresponding conversations with the city of Edmonds and on that topic, and specifically the police chief, because I know there was a desire when Chief Bennett was there to become more active. So we'll continue to explore that, Commissioner Rowland.
Thank you.
Mr. Bothwell, if I recall correctly, that boat was originally obtained with like a regional grant amongst different agencies. And I'm sorry? Chief Anderson?
Yeah, with when we were the city of Edmonds, yeah, it was purchased with a grant right after 9/11, and a lot of those Homeland Security grants in joint with the police department when we both utilized that boat. So from what I'm understanding from our logistics chief, there are some avenues to be explored, not sticking out glaringly like we have a chance, but still some more roads to run down to make sure that we can't get some more grant money for this to offset that cost. So there's work being done right now to explore that.
Okay, good. Because that's what I was just going to say, that because it was originally obtained on a grant, and it's it's kind of a one-off vehicle for us. And because it's marine, it just seems to fit nicely potentially for a possible grant, or maybe even some kind of used vehicle, maybe from the Coast Guard or the military, something along those lines. And we did, as the chief mentioned, we just put on new expensive engines in the not too recent past in the avionics. But we don't, we want to appropriately replace it in a timely fashion. I recall sometime in the last 5 years seeing, I think it was the Pierce County Sheriff's marine boat down in the harbor in Tacoma sank because it got too old and sprang a leak. So we don't want to let it get too old. But we also want to see if there is some way to potentially seek a grant for that. It just seems to stand out. And it also makes me think about, we have partners on the water in Mukilteo and also in Everett, and the ability grant-wise to partner with them potentially on the obtaining 2 boats, because they would probably want one and we would want one. So maybe that's not feasible, but it just seems like it cries out for at least some consultation around that marine environment. So it sounds like you're thinking along a good line. So thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes. CFO Bothwell, my favorite question is, what percentage is for labor? It's unrelated to whatever else you talked about, but I have a reason for asking.
In the expenditure budget?
Yeah, for overall, we
It's
spend
75 to 80%, I believe. 75 to
80%. And the reason I'm asking you that is for the edification of our guests, that they understand that the staff spends a huge percentage of their time figuring out how to utilize the staff, because that's 80% of our costs. And whatever they can s- fine tune a little bit extra here, we get a little bit more service for the cost, and it really adds up. And that's why we do look at the data and do the redeployments as needed, as the community changes and things grow and change. And we're always changing, because having extra staff where we don't need them costs a huge amount of money. It's a waste of money. So we try to use the taxpayers' money to the best that we can figure out. So staff does anyway. Thank you.
Any other Commissioner Wittes?
You recall that bar graph that we had with Edmonds where it showed us with the tax rate with all the other fire agencies in the county?
Mhm.
This still puts us right down at the bottom of it with Oso, Darrington, Hat Island. Can you redo that one so we have that during the budget process also too?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this issue with Mr. Bothwell? Not seeing any. Great. Thank you, Mr. Bothwell.
Thank you all.
That moves us forward to the next item on the agenda, which is 9C, the bond and resolution for discussion with Chief Eastman.
Good evening again. So in your packet, there's a memorandum from Foster Garvey that kind of goes over the basic reimbursement rules for capital projects. I know we've talked about this in the past. And as we gear up at some time in the fall for us to go to bid for the construction of Station 22 at its new location, there is an opportunity as we continue the conversation about our capital studies plan, and that will continue through the rest of the year as part of the budget process. And then, my hope is that we'll be in a position with our capital studies plan where the board can look at funding options and make some decisions as early as next year if they choose to do that. One of the options we do have is and as you recall, we're gonna build Station 22 out of reserves. And there is an opportunity for us if we decide to go and do debt service and do voted debt for our capital studies plan in the future. We have the ability to pay our reserves back, and there's a process that you have to go, and the board has to do a resolution for the opportunity to do that. And what you have before you is a memorandum from Foster Garver, and I'm not going to read that to you, to explain the basics behind it. And then there's a resolution. There was a couple different ways that this can be done. They actually drafted the resolution, how they recommend and how most agencies do this. The resolution really then allows, once it's passed, it allows for us to, if we so choose, if we go to voted debt in the future, you can actually put those dollars as part of and reimburse reserve funds. And then as we look at Station 22, we could reimburse ourselves for the hard cost, which is the construction. And we have the ability to go back and reimburse our costs for the soft costs, which is the architectural and the permitting, the way I understand it. And so I wanted to bring this to the board's attention. I wanted you to get a first shot. I know this isn't the first time we've talked about it, but the first time I've given you a draft resolution. What we're anticipating in conversations with CFO Bothwell is as we move forward, we'll have another conversation about this again if the board so chooses prior to what I'm going to say, is that when we go and award the construction contract to whoever we award to once the RP process is done, you will see a resolution coming forward for the board's approval at that time that would afford us the opportunity to reimburse ourselves through bond proceeds if we so choose, when and if we go to bond. So that's kind of the timing. And I guess I'll pause and see if there's any questions, because I know there may be, and if I need to bring, Mr. Nelson has helped me a lot, and Lee from Foster Garvey is the one that I've been communicating with, and he's a bond attorney. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've used their services in the past. So with that, I'll pause for any questions from the board.
Questions from the board members? Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that 22 is, when you think they're going to start the building on 22?
Jason, I'll let you answer.
The permitting process has taken longer than we
Yeah.
anticipated, so we're hoping that the bid process will start this fall, which would probably put us into early Q2 next year. So,
When we're finished?
no, that's when we would start. So, another 12 months, so.
Another 12 months.
You know,
So
Yeah.
a year from now, we'll finish. Okay.
yeah, more
More
like
than-
a year and a half.
So I
Should-
think that will change, that will help, because I remember that you picked a spot right next to Linwood High School to actually get protecting Mill Creek, right? That station will be save a lot of time. So that may also, yeah. So that's good. I think that's kind of coordinate with the whole thing.
Other discussion on the issue? Chief Eastman, I wasn't clear from what you just said. Are you looking for action on this tonight? Or
Nope.
is this for,
No.
at the time we get closer to 22, then we'll have something?
Yeah,
like
so
this?
what I anticipate is we're gonna have some conversations about the capital studies plan in whole. Once we do a little bit more work with the subcommittee, the capital studies subcommittee. And we anticipate Brian Harris coming back and having a conversation with the board about the facilities plan, updated costs and all those things. We will have additional conversations from staff on the resolution and be able to make sure we ask any questions. But Commissioner Kenny, as we move forward, I anticipate the ask for action on the resolution will be right around the same time that we have you approve the contractor for building Station 22. And in conversation with CFO Bothwell, that seems to be the right time frame, and you can only go back 3 years and sorts of things like that. So that makes the most sense for when the board would take action.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Other Commissioner Rowland, then Commissioner Teoflag. Commissioner Teoflag.
If I understand this correctly, for the reimbursement, we'd essentially be using like borrowed money to reimburse previous expenses.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
how it would work is we would, if we pass the resolution and we do all the work that we're required to do, and the board decides that they're going to go to debt service and they're going to have some of the debt service proceeds reimburse us, as the resolution states, we actually then, as soon as the bond is issued, we could take what we've identified as being reimbursed, take that and recoup that and put it back into reserves. That does a couple of things. One is it reimburses reserves. The second thing it does is you're required to burn 85% of your bond proceeds within 3 years. Well, that counts as burning your bond proceeds too. So there's a couple of things to go along with that. And again, the resolution doesn't say we will do that. The resolution affords the board the opportunity to.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think the key is that you need to do that 85% burn within 3 years. I think that's the key to why one would do that. And I guess eventually I want to know, like, what if you don't do the burn within 3 years, like what's the penalty repercussion?
So either CFO Bothwell, we can either answer that question now, bring it forward, but I know we'll have multiple times to have that conversation. Go ahead, Chris.
If it's simple.
It's taxes.
It might be simple for you. So, I mean, we just have to basically, we have to calculate how much interest we have to calculate a penalty basically and turn that over. And basically what we're doing is we're turning over any earnings that we made on that money for that period of time in excess of 3 years. And we just turn that over back to the government because we're issuing tax exempt debt.
Gotcha. Okay. So the government, you just give it to the federal government, essentially.
Effectively, yeah.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Rowland.
Looking at this, I completely understand the need to delegate or designate someone to be responsible for issuing these statements. My question is in section 3. If I read it correctly, it says upon a determination by the fire chief that the cost of a particular government project, property or program may be reimbursed, the fire chief is authorized. So this delegates, I guess, to the fire chief what would normally be a board decision over whether something qualifies or should be put into this category. If I understand it correctly, is there a reason for assigning that over? I saw a 60-day thing, so it doesn't seem like it's a timely type issue where the board couldn't authorize these things.
You know what, when I talked to when I talked to the legal firm on the topic, this is the way they recommended we do it. I have to get further clarification on that, Commissioner Rowland. This is not my area of expertise and I've not done it before. And the fact of the reality is it's very specific on what you can get reimbursed for anyway. So the chief, in the case that we're talking about is specifically for Station 22, and it goes back to the soft costs and the other piece that goes forward to the hard cost of the construction. The reality is the board wants to be reimbursed. They have to take those dollar amounts and add it to the debt that we're asking the voters to pay for. So by virtue of what we're talking about, the board still is the one that has the authority to do it. This is just saying, if you choose to go down that path, then I would do the appropriate paperwork in Exhibit A, fill it out, and we would actually have legal counsel guide us through the process and then be able to legally make that transaction happen. But I can ask that question very specifically, Commissioner Rowland, because I know I asked the same question, but I can't remember what legal counsel told me.
Other questions from the board members?
Yeah, I think
Commissioner Chan.
maybe, did I miss it? At one time you said you're going to Bond Nelson, come over and did the presentation. Have you done it yet or
Nope.
not yet? Oh,
No,
okay. I didn't
No,
miss it.
that's something that will come in the future like I said, we have a meeting coming up with the Capital Cities Subcommittee to talk about maybe some of those timestamps to actually have some conversations with the whole board. We just have a little bit more work to do in committee, and I can clearly see Mr. Nelson coming back and having a conversation with us, the board.
Yeah.
I see Brian Harris coming back and having a conversation because I'm sure with the updates we've made and the inclusion of Station 76 now in the replacement schedule or in the facilities plan because it's a tear down rebuild and some of those other pieces. I think it's important for and the other piece is the stuff we learned from Station 22 for Brian to be able to come and give a high level executive summary of what has changed since we talked about it in 22. It's been a while. Where we're at, and some of the changes we made, because there's some changes that we've made as a result of things we know now that we didn't know then, to get the full board up to speed. So as we continue down the path, and again, my hope and desire as the fire chief is to by the end of the year, for the RFA to be in a position to know what our capital facility needs are, hopefully consensus with the board, and then to be in a position for the board to determine how they want to fund it and be in a position if they want to go and ask the voters to fund our capital facilities plan to be in a position to be able to do that in 26. If the board chooses to do that, great. If the board chooses to delay, that's fine. But my commitment is I'd love to be in a position to bring that forward. We've been working on it since 2016. I'd like to bring a plan forward before the board before I retire, for the board to actually have and to make a decision on how they want to fund it. And if they want to go do voted debt, we're in a position to put you in the best possible place to go if you want to go in 26 to be able to do that. So that's my hope to do. And again, my target is to have, the majority of that conversation done through the end of the year. And again, because there's it's not part of our 2026 expense plan, but it's part of our overall global plan that we've been talking about with the roadmap and where we're going in the future, and the fact that there's some of us who've been here for a long time. There's some stations that we've been talking about that we talked about this 12, 15 years ago, and the city of Linwood talked about Station 14 10 or 15 years ago. So my hope is we're in a spot where everybody is in the same place. We know where we want to go, and the board's in a position that they can make a policy decision and move forward when and how they choose to.
Well, I think it's important to give it basically bonds 101 to us, but then also that I'm looking at, there's always talk now. Commissioner Giuffre probably know about the interest rates supposed to cut down and all that stuff. So we want to, take advantage of that and whenever we need to jump. All right, thank you very much.
Any other discussion on this issue? Very good. Thank you, Chief. Well, that moves us forward in the agenda then to item number 10, which is committee reports. And we start with Capital Facilities Committee, Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, we have a meeting next week. And nothing else to report.
Excellent. Next up is Finance and Human Resources with Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, the staff don't have any urgent topic to be discussed. I ask both the commission, do you have any other thing you want to add? No, if not, and I think the staff very busy, so we're gonna cancel the meeting for this month.
Next up is Intergovernmental with Commissioner Wittes.
Thank you, Chair. We have not had a meeting in the last week.
Thank you. And finally, Snow 911 with Commissioner Fernhoff.
Yes, good evening. We have a meeting this week and I'm told through email that it's actually in person. So Commissioner Chan, if you want to show up for donuts or
wanna
something, you
go
know,
donuts
yeah,
and then,
for the,
yeah.
we'll give you a full report afterwards.
Is it 8 o'clock? 8:30, the new facility. Okay, thank you.
Next up is Commissioner comments. Any Commissioner comments? Commissioner Teofleck.
Commissioner Chan got me thinking about interest rates. Correct me if I'm wrong, if we do the bonds, it'll be a series of bonds of varying maturities. Is that correct? So like it could be like a 3-year bond for a portion of money and a 5-year bond for a portion, and a portion could also be like 20 years as well. Would 20 years be the maximum, you think, or it could be 30 years?
They can go up to 25 as an RFA.
Okay, yeah. And I was just thinking of with interest rates, the Fed controls the shortest term interest rate. And so that would have the biggest impact on short-term bonds, like the 3 and 5 years, but it might not have a big impact on 25-year rates. So even though interest rates go down, long-term rates may stay the same.
Commissioner Rowland, then Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Rowland.
Just a question for the board. I would like to ask that for our executive sessions, we take up 12B first, and then come back into session if we have any action to take, and then go back to it, since we do have people in attendance that are interested on that. I don't want 12A to drag on and unnecessarily keep them here.
We do need to take 12A first, but it may be shorter than I initially anticipated. Significantly shorter.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, I'd like to thank our guests from Mill Creek, citizens of Mill Creek. Their presence and their comments have helped crystallize things in my mind so I really appreciate you guys being here. Ladies and gentlemen.
Other commissioner comments? Commissioner Wittes.
I just want to say thank you to the City of Mill Creek Council. Also, nice to see my city council here. Thank you.
Other commissioner comments? Commissioner Fernhoff.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well. It's important to hear your voice. Please come back if need be, and I hope that we're going to be able to meet in the middle and make things as best as possible. Thank you.
Commissioner Chen.
Or since we have comments, I gotta make comments, right? Yeah, again, thank you for the Mill Creek council member here. I think Chief Bob, I think, yeah, you're aware there's something called political, right? Politics and stuff like that. It's not just that, but I think we should be careful. We learn the lessons and then we need to make more, I think after that, I think our plan is go to 5 district, trying to the town hall, have the people engage. So I think that's is a good way to be aware of that. But after all, we represent the resident, the voter, right? What they think is important. Thank you.
Other commissioner comments? I wanted to mention, the chief didn't mention it in his chief's report, last Wednesday night was the Briar Sea Scare Parade, and we had pretty good attendance from the board. The chief was there, and a good time was had by all. The weather was very nice, and it was a good crowd out in Briar. And so
Seems like a long time ago.
But it was a good time. We had a lot of a bunch of units there, and a lot of kids, and handing out candy. So thanks for everybody that was there for the parade. Any other commissioner comments? If not, we have executive session up next. We have two items of executive session. The first is review of the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1G and potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I, and also potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I. I'm suggesting that why don't we take our regular 10-minute break? We're right on the break here, and then call the executive session from 8:40, I'm going to say an hour, Chief? Yeah, 8:40 to 9:40. We'll start with that, and we may come back to the regular session and take action after executive session. So without objection, we will be in about a 10-minute recess back to executive session. Thank you. Okay, Melissa, are you ready to go back on the record? Or back on the record? Okay. All right, we are back on the record at 9:57 PM from our executive session where we had Rich Davis, our general counsel, present for the executive session. I think first we need to take up a motion to extend the meeting beyond 10 PM. So I'll move that we extend the meeting as long as necessary this evening.
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Rowland. It's been moved and seconded to extend the meeting beyond our 10 PM time cutoff. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Commissioner Rowland,
I would like to renew my previously made motion.
if you can just restate your motion for me, if you don't
I don't
mind.
know if we had it down in text, but my motion was to restore service at Station 76 to where it was prior to the realignment. So 2 paramedics on staff were there with an aid car for a period of 90 days, at which point we would reevaluate and in the meantime, meet with the city. But at which time we would reevaluate and make a decision on where to move forward.
So it's been moved. Is there a second? Is there a second? Not hearing a second, the motion dies for lack of a second. Are there any other motions? Commissioner Wittes.
I'd like to make a motion, but first I'd like to say it kind of pains me a little bit because I think there's misinformation out there and it bothers me that the city council, which I appreciate my city council, they've never been in the fire service. They don't understand a lot of it. They've never been by people when they're dying, holding their hand. We are trying to get paramedic service everywhere. The city of Mill Creek goes to 132nd Seattle Hill Road. Medic 76 cannot get there. There's 2 other stations that will get there sooner. So enough being said then, I would like to make a motion that we move 821 down to down to Station 76 and move a paramedic from any station to be on the engine at engine 76.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Wittes and seconded by Commissioner Chan to move 821 to Station 76 and paramedic, I'm sorry, from where?
Wherever
they source it.
A paramedic
Yeah.
from another station.
Correct.
Some
Thank
other
you.
station besides 76, go to Station 76.
To engine 76.
To engine 76. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, discussion, and Commissioner Wittes, can you just describe the effect of that, just very briefly, and then?
The effect of that, it doesn't move anything else around. So the medic we put at Station 12 will still handle the north end of Mill Creek. It still handles that. Station 13 handles the northeast side. So it's not doing any benefit there. It's going to put 4 people there, which I know looking at the city council meeting, watching it, one of the questions were at the initial stage of the annexation into the fire authority, it was 5 people there with 1 paramedic. That's what the mayor spoke to. Again, I don't think it's good business to do. I don't think it's good for the RFA or the city that unit's going to be out of there. But I understand how perception is. I understand how misinformation gets out there, and I apologize for that and for not getting to the city sooner. I also recommend that we're going to talk to people more often. That answered pretty much your.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I very much appreciate that. A discussion on the motion.
Could you
Commissioner-
restate the motion, just so that I understand? The effect?
Move aid 20, I'm sorry, move aid 21 to station 76 and put a paramedic from some other station on engine 76,
What is
resulting in 5 people?
Yes.
Resulting in 5 people at station 76.
So 2 paramedics are moving back to 76
No.
or no?
No,
You-
one.
Just one. That's what it was originally when we annexed also. When we, Mill Creek annexed in, it was 1 paramedic there. The mayor spoke to that at the last city council meeting, saying originally it was just 1 paramedic, 5 people with 1 paramedic.
Commissioner Bernhoff.
Thank you for sticking around, our friends from Mill Creek. What you've heard here and what's currently in discussion is restoration. You had 5. When we're done, you'll have 5 again. Is this something that you are in agreement with? I see head nods as if that's a good thing, right? Feels like a good thing. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're sort of talking in a way that we're not talking with you. And since you are here and this is a rare opportunity, I want to make sure that you understand what's being discussed. It's clear, and that you can relay this back to your citizens, that at the end of the day, the service that you'll be getting will be both in a transport form, suppression form, paramedic form, all those components that you had originally started with.
The second paramedic was added after, so you are putting us back to our original
Okay,
levels of service.
okay.
How does this relate to the paramedic units? Paramedic units, when they say that paramedic unit instead of just being on.
So if you remember when I was talking earlier about how the evolution of emergency medical services has evolved, it really kind of boils down to 4 to 6 kits and people. That's the defining sort of where things, how should I say this? That's the important part. The wheels, the bus, the thing that transports you to the hospital, it can come in a couple of flavors. One is called an aid unit, but can quickly become an ALS unit just because of the equipment and the person that we put on there. And an ALS unit is full-time. That just happens to have a staffed paramedic. If I'm speaking out of line, Chief, tell me, right? But I think that's basically it. It's really about the person, their certification, their knowledge base, their capabilities, and the stuff that they bring. And we bring all of that stuff on every one of our rigs now. So it's not like you get one or you get the other. Everything is matched in terms of being able to provide that kind of level of service. So probably an exception would be we have a volunteer air light unit, and they don't carry as much robust equipment as some of our others. But that's unique, and they're out of Linwood. But yep. So just wanted to make sure that you understood what we were talking about.
Other discussion on the motion. Commissioner Teofly.
So I'll be voting against the motion. I see myself as an ordinary citizen and not like on this team. I have the shirt on right now, but I really just wear it because it has my name on it, so people know, they can just know my name. I've been on the board now for 6 years. This is my last year. I'm not going to run for re-election. I haven't been in any parades. I don't do anything to try and get benefits from being an elected official. I've always just seen our job as being an ordinary citizen looking out for the best interest of our other citizens. And when I think about what staff has done, they're doing what is best for all of our citizens, including the Mill Creek citizens. They believe that this change is going to give you better service. That is why. And so It's just, for my 6 years, staff, they care so much about what they do. That's why we have one of the best CPR cardiac arrest save rates in the nation, because they look at stuff on a research data-driven basis. That's how we got to being so good at cardiac arrest. I know that a simple argument is we have less people in the station, so therefore we're going to have worse response times. That's not actually going to be the case. I could understand that it's like if you live a block from the station, I can understand that. But with the fact that Medic 76 is going into Surfer often, they're not actually there often to help from what staff is telling us about the data. So as an ordinary citizen who's looking out for the best interest of everyone, I feel like we should just stay the course and keep the staffing model as is. We'll run our study, and then we will look at the data and make changes from there. And if the data says, no, Medic 76 should stay there, then that's what we'll do. But we want to have the data tell us what to do. Thanks.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes. This is a difficult decision. Commissioner Witters is a good friend, and he's doing this, making the proposal under duress to tone down the political temperature. And I go along with what Chris said there. There's Mill Creek is 7% of the RFA, and we're going to adversely affect other parts of the RFA to satisfy a political storm that is caused by a couple of individuals whispering. We did meet with your city manager prior to a few weeks ago when the meeting when all blew up. City manager, I guess, didn't pass that on to you, the information. Yes, we could do, if we had a new hindsight's 2020, if we had done this or done that. But we've been slandered. Your mayor has said stuff, just incredible. And it's too bad. And I'd like to tone it down. Like I said earlier, we need to find, hey, what promises were made? But we can hopefully do that. And it would be great if everybody just stopped bashing. We haven't been any bashing as far as I know, but just talk professionally, responsibly, in a correct way, and have that conversation without all the political stuff. And you guys are going to look into the saying we made promises, we should be able to discuss that. Our intergovernmental committee is willing to meet with you and get to the bottom of what promises were made. In the meantime, I don't want to affect the other 90%, 97, 93%, for the sake of a couple of individuals that have been stoking this fire, that not on the commission, but individuals. So I'm not going to vote for this, though I sort of would want to, but just on principle, we need to stay the course and hopefully solve the political issue.
Board Liaison Swisher.
Thank you. I think we should stay the course as well. I don't get a vote, but I believe in, first and foremost, the guys who spent over a year putting the data together. And my understanding is you guys went back 3 years, and I would assume that also included 76's calls as well as the RFA's calls to come up with this plan and make a plan that is supposed to benefit the RFA as a whole. We're no longer separate cities anymore, asking for services just for our own city. We're part of a larger group. They put all the hard work in, made the plan, brought it to the board, presented it to you in its many iterations over the last year, and you guys bought into it. While I appreciate the fact that the folks from Mill Creek feel like they've lost something, if you actually look at the service that is on the maps of what you had before and what you have now that surrounds your entire city, and like they made the example, your city goes clear out to Seattle Hill Road, and the people working at 76, they're not making it there to save any of your citizens that are out there. But I believe it's 12 and 13. Am I right? 12 and 13. Those now are staffed differently so that they can make it there and provide the service to your citizens that are in that area. It's data driven. They told us right from the beginning, this is going to be fluid. They've got to see how it's working and make the changes as they go. And I think we should stick with it and follow the course, and the changes are going to be made as necessary based on the data.
Other discussion? Commissioner Furnow.
Just looking at this from the people's court point of view, I simplify this. You had 5, you have 3, now you want 5 back. It's as bad as plain as that. The discussion is a broader universe that involves many citizens and incorporated, unincorporated citizens of Mill Creek, citizens of our other RFAs, when the staff has deliberately tried to balance what the best approach is in terms of medical services. Symbolically, just in support of your efforts to be here, your concerns, I will support my friend Ed Wittes's motion that the services be restored. But as you've heard, it may not be enough to get you there, but symbolically, just know that some of us are understand your position. And it could very well be that we stay the course and we look at the numbers and we figure out, hey, we're doing pretty good. And it's not so much of a loss, but I'm willing to take that chance.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, no matter how this vote turns out, I hope that the Mill Creek board and mayor will discuss this issue over time with our our governmental committee and try to understand and solve and have everybody understand what's going on and be dealing with the situation from the facts, the truth and the facts. So thank you.
Other commissioner comments or other board member comments? Commissioner Rowland.
This isn't the first time I have stepped down on a ledge. But I think that transparency is what was asked for. Trust is what was broken. And I have to do what's right based on my principles. I left the executive session early because there was a lot of conversation going on that didn't really have to do with pending litigation. It had to do with making this decision that's come out. It's something that I hadn't even heard. And I think it's the type of debate that needs to be done in public view, especially when the public has felt like its trust has been broken, when it's felt like communication was an issue. So at the beginning, I expressed my concerns with where the conversation would go, and it went there. So I excuse myself. I think that the solution presented gets us back to where we were pre-annexation. But as our union president would point out vociferously, there's a difference between a cross-staff paramedic on a rig and having a dedicated aid car. So this is a compromise between what you had before the aid card was taken away. And I think effectively, it won't be a bad thing for Mill Creek. But I honestly don't know the discussion that went into getting us to this point. And so for that reason, I'm going to abstain from this vote. It's not that I don't support restoring service to Mill Creek. It's that I don't feel comfortable voting for something or putting my name on something that I don't think was done in a transparent fashion, when it very easily could have been. And so I apologize to anybody who this disappoints or if this affects the vote, but I think the public deserves to hear everything.
I'd like to say that our executive session that we had was cleared by our legal counsel. So Commissioner Rowland is entitled to his opinion, but that is his opinion. I did want to, other commissioner comments generally on the motion. I did want to chime in and say that I appreciate Commissioner Wittes coming up with this proposal, this motion. But I do think that what it essentially does is that it destroys the test that we're running, to see if the response times are better in the program that the chief and his staff have set up. And so that kind of voids the whole plan of seeing whether it works or not. And it's not based on data. And I think we should be focused, as our staff was for a long time, on the data and trying to find the best way to provide more efficient service, to provide that service in a better fashion with the resources that we have, or adding resources. And so I think that that should be our focus. And has been our focus, and we've had multiple public meetings on the issue, as we do as a board, meeting here 3 times a month. And we've been public about that, and the board unanimously approved moving forward with the plan in June. And so I feel like we need to continue that and stay data driven. The arguments that the chief has kind of laid out earlier tonight here in the meeting about other issues besides the data, because the chief says he still supports the current deployment plan, that he believes the data will pan out on that. And I think that it is incumbent upon us to give that a try. We have tried a number of different innovative things over time: the use of social workers, the community paramedics, other things that at the time were an experiment or a test. Of course, nobody objected when we did them, but they were still a test, and they panned out. Not all of our tests have panned out, but we've got to stay true to the data, because if we're not true to the data, then what are we doing? Are we doing it because of political influence? Are we doing it because, well, that's the way it's been done, because of history? Are we doing it because of the loudest voice in the room? What are we doing it on if it's not based on the data? And so we are doing it based on the data. We're doing it based on the best service for our, not only our constituents as a whole, but our Mill Creek constituents, that the chief still believes that we are going, this plan, if it pans out, will provide better service to the people of Mill Creek. In one of the slides that Chief Maxwell had, he described how under the former deployment plan, there's 5 paramedics and MSO in the Mill Creek area. And under the current deployment, the new deployment, there's 7 paramedics and an MSO. Commissioner Teofilak described how the fact that Station 76 is at the eastern edge of South County Fire has an impact on where that unit goes. And I believe Chief Maxwell's materials indicated that that station formerly was not 69% of the time wasn't responding in the city. And so it can actually put it's not intuitive. It's against intuition, but actually pulling that unit back up the hill makes it more responsive into Mill Creek than having it in Station 76. I think that there have been comments about, well, there's promises. I don't think this board has made any promises about staffing that station in a particular fashion. In the pre-annexation interlocal agreement between South Snohomish County Fire and Rescue Regional Fire Authority and the City of Mill Creek, passed by this board on February 8th, 2022, which is the only interlocal agreement that I believe applies to the circumstances we have here because the annexation was successful. In paragraph 10.3, it says, the RFA shall have the sole discretion and the obligation to determine the exact method by which the services are provided to the city. In addition, in paragraph 4.1, it states that for Station 76, it has no staffing requirements for the city other than the RFA has to keep using it as a fire station. We're not stopping the use of Station 76 as a fire station. So this is a test. It's an opportunity to provide better service. And I think that we need to encourage our staff to take these risks because it is a risk that there'll be all this political influence, that all of these people yelling, that all of this attempt to change, not based on any data. I haven't heard an argument, one single argument. I haven't heard an argument from the union about the data on this. It's all about other things. I've got to stay true to that data because that's what's going to help me provide better service, not only for the people of Mill Creek, but for the people of South County Fire overall, which I think is my charge. And if that's not it, then I'm not sure why I'm here. I think these other factors there, obviously the chief has identified them. They're there because the people that are here, and that's just the reality. But I think the important point for this board is to support the chief and his staff in doing the work that the data supports for the best service overall. And for that reason, unfortunately, Commissioner Wittes, I do have to oppose your motion that would change that test. But I appreciate the reasons that you bring it, and that is it's what you've done. I believe is a reasonable alternative. I just don't think it's the best alternative for us at this time. Other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? If not, we will move to a vote on Commissioner Wittes's motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. And abstentions? One abstention. The motion fails on a 3-3 tied vote with one abstention. Commissioner Rowland. Is there anything else from the board members? Commissioner Rowland.
I would like to renew my previous motion to move back the aid card with 2 paramedics for a period of 90 days, at which point we will reevaluate.
So Commissioner Rowland has renewed his motion about moving the 2 paramedics back to Station 76 and for a 90-day period. Is there a second? Is there a second? The motion dies for lack of a second. Are there any other motions related to the issue? Did we want to talk about the Intergovernmental Committee's response to the City of Mill Creek's letter saying that they will only meet with the Intergovernmental Committee if restoration of paramedic service is issue number 1 in the meeting? Did we want to talk about that? What do you want to do with that? Sorry, I'm looking at you because you're chairing the Intergovernmental Committee.
No, I'm just looking at Melissa. Can you, because you're contacting them now, or go between. They've seen the meeting, they know what's there, and let them know tomorrow that we're available anytime they are, that would like to talk to us.
If that is your direction, I will be happy to
No, I
communicate.
mean, you're okay with?
No, I just wanted to kind of talking about next steps. I see that as a loose end that
Yes.
we kind of need to at least have the board informed of where we're going. And I think that's a reasonable path forward.
Reasonable path, but I think we need to revisit this again. Next meeting.
I won't keep it off the agenda.
Okay.
If it's not right for the next meeting, We'll have it on upcoming meetings. Don't worry.
Yeah, here's my problem. I have been, I didn't say one word in here. And yet we are picking on little technical reason and then you withdraw the it's just crazy. It just, I really advise every single one, go and look at the board meeting that they have. You got to think from them. And I think Commissioner Fernhoff have really said, they are not that. Okay, another thing is that don't ever tell them, oh, they don't understand it. Let the expert doing it. They are the one, the taxpayer. What the conception is, we have to take a much more time to explain it. And right now, we don't have our data that what the new program is yet, right? So they basically, we tell them this is the right way, just trust us. And why are they losing the whole thing that they have been all their life? We should have done this way before that, this explain to them what we're doing and answer questions. We do not even give them a chance to answer the questions. And they were informed by one of the citizens. How would you like to see us, somebody come to us and we don't even know anything about it, and then informed by one of the citizens, something to change? So you got to understand, it's not political, but it is, I explained the history of them because they were served by District 7 all this time. And it was before, it was 2 years ago, they wanted to upstaff that to 5 units. They have levy lift to increasing that. So you got to understand from their point of view, if from now on, we don't listen to people, we don't listen to other people, I think we fail. You can do as anything you're right, but you're not listening to people. And then I think the other cities say, okay, that's sub-county fire. They make the big storm and they don't even listen. And I really wish I can bring this up and let's vote yes or no, and not because some little technical reason you do that.
So just to talk about next steps, Commissioner Wittes, you'll try and get the intergovernmental committee to meet with the Mill Creek Committee and
Yes.
report back to us.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And
All right. So I think that's a path forward. Any other issues? Anything else on this issue? Commissioner Rowland.
This board does have the opportunity to discuss it. There is no technicality. But is unwilling to discuss it any further, is unwilling to discuss a different solution in public view that would make Mill Creek whole. And I'm disappointed at that. A second doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to vote yes or that you agree. It means that you think something deserves the board's consideration. And I'm disappointed that no member of the board thinks that that's worth consideration.
Anything else on this subject? If not, we have no other business. Our next meeting is the first Tuesday of September. Here at 10:30, without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.